Beleza? I don't think there could have a better time of the year to talk to you about this. I'm very excited and very happy about this opportunity because, you know, December, Christmas, New Year's Eve, all those goals come to mind. But with the goals, also the memories about past years in which you have written goals and haven't achieved them. So I need to ask you, goal setting, where do I start?
Absolutely, and yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
No worries.
It's great to be here as well. Now that you're asking that, yes, about goals, I think everyone very often thinks about when you do look back in 2022 and think about the goals you haven't achieved and why you haven't achieved them, and and it's probably very few people I know do that and go really deep into that topic and think, why I haven't achieved that goal? What did I miss? Did I lack the resources? Did I lack the people? Did I was just a lazy one? So I created a framework, or I picked a framework and adapted it for to make it easier. Which I know you've mentioned that in your book that I think has been sold out by now. But the talking about the goal setting in a past year review, because most of the people they don't know how to go about that. So it's a very simple framework. It's about takes about 60 minutes to do, and I call it the 3P. It's called people, peaks, and pain.
So people, peaks, and pain,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So what would people mean?
People would mean I look at, and I know you gave me the great tip of when you do the past year review, go back to your Apple, your Google Photos, go back to your calendar and see, look at the events that happened and look at the pictures, the people you were with. What happened there? Where did you go? What were the highlights? So people means I look at the people that entered into my life, good and bad. So, as an example, we made some not so good hiring decisions in our company, and I'm grateful for that too, because by realizing these people, we shouldn't have hired those people. Now we then learned, okay, now we know what type of people we want and how do we have to conduct the interviews. So the result of that was we now have two new staff members, and they're great. They're great. They're performing. Now we have a team together, and I wouldn't change that team for anything now. The other thing is we met quite late in the year, and that shifted a lot in my life. So a very, very positive experience, and I think also that's why we are sitting
Yes.
here today
Thank you
and
from me as well. Yeah.
and having this year-end reflection.
Yep.
That shifted a lot and brought not only you as a person came into my life, but also you brought a lot of peaks as well, and how to say events and um, ideas,
Yep.
ideas and new actions and plans. So which had also an influence on the goals I'm going to set for next year, because now I know there's another person to work with that can help me a lot, and that also I can help a lot.
Perfect. And you made a connection. Thank you for your kind words. I could say, of course, the same and much more. And you already made the connection to my follow up question. So you explained people and you mentioned peaks, but can you go a little bit deeper on that? What peaks mean exactly?
Yes. So people, it could also be friends,
Yep.
professional people, personal relationships, and peaks. What I mean with peaks is the milestones.
Oh, okay.
So peaks, what I have basically the achievements in the last year. So that is a coaching program that I joined,
Mm-hmm.
a video recording that I've done, a program that I've created. We signed a contract for the bar. So these milestones
And
that
maybe those ones you don't even need to look at anything because they're so important that you maybe will remember by heart, right?
yes, well, the big things I would remember,
Yeah.
but also I want to acknowledge the small things. I'm
Yep.
not saying that the exercise should go into 50 things that
Yep.
should be on your peak list, but what are the meaty things that have come through? So there you go back to gratitude and think, okay, I have achieved a lot
Yep.
of that. And even if it was only 50, 60, 70% of your goals, that's totally fine. But acknowledging that and say, great. And then from there you build on your peaks you want to have for the next year.
Amazing. And I know that we have discussed this on previous occasions, but my past year review wasn't as specific as this one, and I'll try it, and I'll do the first part, the people part, looking at calendars and photos, and I'll try to do the second part in a more intuitive way. So we have people, peaks, and
The third P is
yeah,
pain.
pain. Wow.
And I call it pain because I want people to feel it.
Okay.
And I wanted me to feel it.
Yep.
The things I do not want to have repeated for
Okay.
next year. And one thing, for example, was when I came here in, I think it was March,
Mhm.
I planned it badly. I missed the carnival.
Mhm.
And for me, that's a very important thing to do. It's very high on my list in terms of, it would fall into the fun category.
Yep.
I missed it, and it was painful.
Yep.
So I wrote that down. Then there was the contact with my sister that wasn't so ideal. I could have, I could have done a better job on that.
Yep.
And I think there's always two people to it.
Mhm.
But I would have wished to have a better contact with my sister, which I now have. And that's what I've worked on. But it was painful and we both realized that we didn't want that, and we have to work on the relationship.
People, peaks, and pain. I love it. I love it. I'm not sure when you're watching this, but we are recording this on December the 30th. So one day until the end of the year. And I have to ask you, is this something that I have to do until tomorrow? Because my anxiety already shows up. Oh my God, the year is ending and I have to do this. Is there an ideal time to do this? Is there an ideal time to do goal setting? When should I start my goal setting, my past year review? Please tell me.
Absolutely. It has to be done by tomorrow. If you're not done by tomorrow, then you don't have goals. No, I'm joking, but so, well,
I was already sweating.
so the anxiety levels grow up.
Yeah.
No, there's actually no specific time. I looked at the goals for 2023 3 months ago because I wanted to plan early, and that falls a little bit into like the goals I set for the company. So budgeting, financial planning for next
Yep.
year. So that also drives, of course, my personal goals. But you don't have to wait for any specific event. It can be now. It can be in February. It just feels a bit. I'd love to do it early because then I'm already ahead
Mhm.
and don't lose the time because the year kind of counts.
Yep.
So, but you can do it in April. You can do it in February, whenever you feel like. You can even reset your goals when you realize, okay, I think it's better to have some goals than not have any goals at all. But if you realize in February, well, I didn't plan so well, then
So you're telling me that I can make or change my goals in the middle of the year, and I think you just saved my life because I think it was worse, but it still happened in a certain way, which is when I look at a goal, I'm like, if I write it down and I do not conquer this or achieve this, I'm going to feel bad. So I would rather not write it.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure that you have seen clients with this same kind of belief. I'm not saying that I do this, but I'm not saying that I'm 100% rid of this. So if I can rewrite goals or make goals in February, March, April, the fear is gone, right?
the fear, yeah. And there's something else to it. If you write down a goal and you feel anxious about it or fearful, maybe it is something so big, so far out. I say, I have no idea. And it should feel a little bit like scary, but not a hell of a lot. So at the other end, I think more of the goal to feel exciting. You say, I'm going to write my book in London, right? So that's, I can see it on your face, like the excitement in the eyes. So you don't know how to do it, and you don't know how to meet. You don't know a lot of things in the process, but the excitement is there, and also you can achieve that. It just needs to be aligning a few more resources to do that. So, but if it feels really, really anxious, then it's good to do an introspection and ask, why am I feeling anxious about it?
Okay.
So is it something I really want?
Yep.
Is it important to me, or is it just sometimes you have these, goals are being imposed from parents, from friends.
Society.
You want to show off.
Mhm.
I need to buy this car, and it should feel quite natural, the process.
So let me make a brief summary of what I have learned so far. First of all, of course, the past year review with people, peaks, and pain, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have allowed me to change or rewrite my goals, so that kind of makes the anxiety drop a little bit. But if that anxiety shows up, I can either understand if, okay, that's a good amount of anxiety because that's something that I want so badly, or that's too much anxiety because maybe that's something that's still way out of my league. Great, got it. But a follow-up question has to be made right now. And I'm going to share some goals with you and with you, so you guys can hold me accountable. You know, I want to live abroad, uh, if possible in London. You know that I want to release my first fiction book next year. There are a couple of other goals. I want to compete on a powerlifting competition as well. So those are three goals. Those three goals from different areas. So with which goal should I start? Which one of those should I tackle first? I'm not sure about what to do with those three goals.
Hmm. Okay, so as you go about goal setting, you want usually there's four major categories where you set goals, and
Okay.
I explained that in a minute. Um, in your case, I think there's a saying from the book, The One Thing. It's right in the beginning where it says, if you chase after two rabbits, you catch none of them.
Yep.
And the funny
The
drawing
one
and the
thing by Gary Keller, right?
yeah,
Amazing one.
by
Yeah.
Gary Keller. And he talks a lot about this. Your one thing. What's the number one thing? And I think he calls it the qualifying question. He said, and if you rephrase that around your goal setting,
Yeah.
there's probably one overarching goal that if you say, what would that goal be that would make all of the other goals easier or achievable faster?
Yes, I think he even uses it. What's the metaphor? Is it a domino that he uses as a metaphor to explain this?
Yeah, I think the domino was meant on you kick the first stone,
Oh, you're right.
and so you have to do these action steps, and that's the last part of the process. So
Okay.
you kick one of these stones, and then because of the force behind that, you're able to kick over larger stones and larger stones.
So what you're saying is that so yeah, I have living in London. I have publishing my first fiction book. I have the powerlifting competition, and I should look at those and try to acknowledge which one of those make the other ones easier. Is that it?
Yes, yes, which would make them easier, or which would lead me to the other goals. So you said you have the powerlifting, you
Yep.
want to write the book,
Yep.
and you want to go to London.
Yep.
So it's like looking at, if I gave you the choice, which one of those three goals would make the most difference in your life?
I think
Which,
yeah. That's let me try to do this exercise live
yeah.
here, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, I think if I'm in a big city, London is one of the biggest in the world. I will have more resources to publish my book, and probably better gyms and better competition and better coaches. So I think going to London would be the first piece of the domino. Make sense?
Does make sense. Yeah,
Okay.
does make sense. Also, yeah, it will allow you to create new contacts.
Yeah.
And the powerlifting is probably an accompanying, unless you want to do a competition and say this is what will change my body and my life so much. No, an accompanying thing. But also the people you probably meet in London will give you. You will meet new personal trainers.
Yep.
You will meet new studios. Say, wow, maybe there's an element, an angle to powerlifting that I haven't seen here in Brazil.
And I think probably because it's such a big city and with such diversity, it's not something as underground as here in Rio. When I say that I'm training for powerlifting in Rio, people are like, are you doing steroids? I'm like, no, come on. So I think it's a more diverse city. Maybe people will understand better and accept better the goal. But you're right. It's if I had to pick an order, it's the least important. But I also think it's nice to have something uh, out of your work zone as a goal to make that balance, right?
Yes, I mean if you would do it, you could do it in a way. Probably when you want to do powerlifting, you'd go to Venice Beach, right? So
Yeah.
Arnold is out and Arnaldo is in,
Yeah.
and you would go right to the source.
That's I mean that would be a good life. I mean London to write and LA to work out. But I mentioned three goals, and you mentioned four categories, four realms where those goals can fit in. You said there are four kinds of areas in your life.
Correct, correct.
Which areas are that, and are my goals inside those areas? Should I change them? Please help me with that.
Not necessarily, but there's a few frameworks that I've seen. So there's, for example, the Wheel of Life,
I
which
know
I
the real
think
flight.
has
Yeah,
7 categories,
yeah,
and I always found that a bit intimidating
too
to
much.
say a seven, or there's even
Yeah, it's
12
too much.
categories.
It's too
And
much.
I had back then I had proper Excel sheets with goals, and there were like 20 or 50 of them,
It's
and
overwhelming.
it really killed me. And I
Yeah.
thought I had to do it in a methodical way and write everything down in spreadsheet and logical. So the better approach that I learned is to focus on just 4 categories,
Hmm.
like 4 major categories, and whatever you call them. So health is an obvious one.
Okay. Okay.
Then you have wealth,
Would you
which
would
is,
you would you put the powerlifting on health?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So that would fall into health. Then you have self,
Okay.
which is like your social self and relationships.
Okay.
And yes, wealth is one, and the other one is personal growth.
Okay.
So for you, and sometimes these categories can overlap.
They can overlap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah. So let's see. Powerlifting would be health, I think, or
yeah,
even personal, maybe. No.
would also be, I would put it, and that's actually great because now you have, if these are your 3 major goals,
Yep.
and they can overlap in categories.
Yeah.
So powerlifting
It's
for
less
you,
overwhelming, right?
yes.
Would you put moving to London? Maybe it's all four or all four of them, right?
It depends how you view it. If you
Yeah.
say moving to
Why am I
London,
moving? Yeah. Yeah.
but there you see, there's your overarching goal because it probably will have an impact on social and the relationships you have.
Yep.
It will most likely or probably have an impact on your income,
Uh huh.
right?
Yeah.
And on your personal category, which is growth.
Maybe you have just created a new framework for how to pick your main goal. Yes, we have the domino example from the one thing, which I think is awesome.
Mm.
But I'm not sure if you realize what you just did, but you just told me, pick your main goal, look at those three, and see the one that overlaps into more areas.
I get it. Yeah, no,
That's interesting.
that just came right.
Yeah,
So if it fits all at least 3 or 4 categories, I've never tried it that way, but
yeah.
that's a good way to look at it to find your number one goal. Yes, that's the one. And if you take, there's a metaphor. If you throw a rock into a pond,
Mm-hmm.
it creates these
Yes.
rippling waves. So that happens when you have your major goals. So otherwise, you have, and I was a victim of that too. I say victim. um, I created all these small goals. So you have the heavy goals, which you don't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You are missing a lot of resources. There are probably obstacles, and these are the easiest ones to forget because then you focus on the smaller ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I can meet this person here. I can earn this small money. I can do this small task, and all of a sudden you lose yourself and not going after the big ones. So that's why the number one goal is so important. That you say, what is that makes the biggest difference to my life? And I think for you, going to London is it will have a ripple effect on a lot
I
of
agree.
things.
So let me make a brief summary here, and it's not just for you; it's also for me because I want to remember everything that you just taught me. So start with the past year review, right? And that means people, peaks, and pain. You can make goals anytime, and you can rewrite them, repurpose them. That's okay. Goodbye, anxiety. The first goal would be the first piece of the domino that makes the other ones easier to fall, or the one that fits in most areas. And those areas are the four ones that I'm not sure if I remember them exactly. You said wealth, you said self, you said social, and
Health,
health.
health.
Perfect.
Yeah, you can
So
give them any other name, and
yeah,
I've
but
seen frameworks with different names.
yeah,
But as only the idea is, or the purpose behind that is to define at least like only for the 4 main categories,
yeah,
and then for each category you choose only one goal, only
perfect.
one.
And if you're having a hard time going through this, you've just seen it happen to me live. We did a this is coaching live in front of your eyes. So I didn't know what was my main goal, and by looking at going to London and see that this affects my health, wealth, social, and the other area, the four areas, it makes it my main goal. So look at your goals and see which one of them affects most areas in your life. Pick that one. And of course, that brings us to a very important question that, okay, so I've done the hard work. I went through a past year review, people, peaks, and pain. I took the time to set my goals in the beginning of the year. I understood what's my main goal, looking at the four areas that you mentioned, and now I want to tackle a goal. I want to achieve it. How do I plan? How do I start a plan? Should I do a whole plan? Should I just make one step? How do I do it?
You just mentioned the magic word, which is yeah, plan.
Okay.
So, and I didn't back then. No one explained that to me. I didn't know that for a long time. Said, oh, you have to set goals. Let's set goals, but there was no plan behind it. How to achieve that? And you can people say, oh, you set outrageous goals. Yes, great, but there has to be some form of plan in how you're moving forward. And yeah, you say I'm setting a 5 year goal, and it will take me some time to do it because it's so big. That's cool, but you gotta you gotta put some steps into that. So the way I normally recommend it is to, let's say you have a yearly goal. You say I want to let's take powerlifting. You say I would like to put on what's a good 20 pounds
Can I
of
share my numbers?
please.
Okay, so right now the personal records are for chest press 115. Okay, for back squat 120, and for deadlifts 160.
Okay, brilliant.
First time I shared this live.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it helps a lot of people to wow. Is that small? Is it big? So I would like to zoom in on this
Okay.
because the I know you told me powerlifting is about adding more and more weight.
Yep.
So my question to you would be, what is your end game? What is the end game behind these numbers?
Okay.
Can you put that into a
I think I can. Yeah. This year, in the beginning of this year, I tried to move to Europe, and I had to come back because of some personal reasons, which I'm glad I did because we met. But I mean, back then on April when I came back, it was very hard for me, and emotionally I felt very unstable. Let me tell you why am I explaining this. When I go into the gym right now, and I'm able to lift 160 kilos on a deadlift, and I come back home, and the ghosts that used to haunt me in April knock on my door. I'm like, get the hell out of here because I can lift 160. So I feel strong physically when I'm able to lift that amount of weight. That makes me stronger mentally. You know,
Mhm.
if Arnaldo, me, if Arnaldo is a guy who can lift 120 on 115 on the chest press, he also can deal with his emotional self in
Yeah,
intern talk,
I
right? So
understand.
it make a strong body creates a strong mind. If I can do this, I can do that. That's the main goal.
Great. You mentioned a great point that so you use the powerlifting as a form of therapy,
Yep.
right? And I think that's a great point for many people here
And
to
not only while I'm doing it, because of course while I'm doing it, I'm not thinking about anything because look at that amount of weight that I have to lift, but also after because it gives me confidence to tackle some hard emotional stuff. And as I told you, if I can handle this, I can handle that.
absolutely. I mentioned I realized that too. That working out, a strong body, a strong mind. That
Yep.
that working out creates a lot of. It removes anxiety. It removes nervousness. It removes not knowing what to do because your focus is on something. You cannot just drop the weight like
Yep.
that. Another question I have is, do you have behind these numbers, and let's say you go from 160, you go 161, 162, is there any other goal, like a numbers goal, a measurable goal where you say, I want to either get to 100 or let's say to 180 on deadlifts? Or is there something where you say, well, the end game of this exercise is to put on 20 pounds of more muscle?
I would say that maybe be able to join a competition and maybe bring some kind of trophy home. Uh, that that's less important for me than the emotional resilience, but that would be awesome as well. I mean, growing up as a soccer player, my knees hurt. I'm not able to compete right now with the sport that I grew up loving, and be able to be part of another sport, and maybe not winning, but maybe second or third, or going there and doing well, and getting to know people that make me feel a sense of belonging and the camaraderie around the competition. I think that's very tangible as well. Being able to compete and do well, and by doing well, of course, I'm not sure if even if it's a medal or a trophy, but bringing something home would be awesome. But just going there and being able to lift what I set myself to lift would be as awesome as the trophy or the medal.
Yeah, so that actually has two benefits.
Yep.
So you can say, I want to do the powerlifting and use it as therapy.
Yep.
Just it keeps me going and keeps improves my mental health. And there would be probably no action plan or no milestones to that, because it just keep it going on a
Yep.
steady level. But if you say, I want to compete, then to answer the first part of your question, you would come back and say, okay, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say your next competition is in December,
Mm-hmm.
and you arrive in London April maybe or May.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd say, okay, what do I need to achieve every month in order to grow stronger and better? Yeah. So you set from a yearly goal, you set a monthly milestone, and then you go back to a weekly milestone. So every week, I have to grow, let's say, 4 pounds or 2 pounds of muscle,
Mm-hmm.
or I need to be in July, I need to be at least 170 kilos. So having done that, then you can define your daily action steps. It might be, I need to work out 4 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I only go once and I work out 6 hours in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So from that, you can start measuring. And when we're talking about daily action steps, you can do it like that. Right?
Amazing. That brings me to a TED talk called "How to Achieve Your Most Ambitious Goals" by Stephen Danier. It actually changed my life. This TED talk is this guy Stephen Danier. He has the records on the Guinness Book. If you read the whole Guinness Book, you're going to find his name in multiple features. Like he even with climbing mountains and manufacturing furniture, he has lots of records on the Guinness Book. And he explains on this TED talk that he does it by breaking the goal into daily small habits. This actually changed my life with everything, but a very tangible example would be with books. My first book, the one that I gave you, uh, I used to write 3 hours every evening. So I went to sleep late. I woke up stressed, exhausted. When I finished the book, I said, "Hell, that's done. No more. That's that. I won't write anymore." But then the book was a success, and people started asking me for more. And of course, you want to serve those people. And then I needed to find a framework for the second book. And when
Mhm.
I saw this TED talk, I was like, 1 page a day, 1 page a day. My first book has 100 pages. If I write 1 page a day, that's 3 months, right?
You finish it in 3 months, right?
Yeah, 3 months. I mean, the first one I didn't, but the second, yeah, because I took the number of pages. Okay, so the first book has 100 pages. If I write the second with the same amount of pages, a little bit more, a little bit less, and I write 1 page a day, it's 3 months. Come on, 3 months. And why am I saying this? Because it translates to the deadlifting example that you gave. Usually, that deadlifters they work out three days a week. That does not work for me. Why? Because I want the mental clarity every day. So I hired a personal trainer, and I asked him, "Can you stretch those 3 days in six?" And he did. So instead of going 3 days and staying in the gym for 2 hours, I go 6 days and stay 1 hour. And that's better for me because I get the daily benefit of the exercise. And on the seventh day, I rest, but I may take a walk or maybe a pedal on a bike because I also like to have some of that good feeling. But that's what he did for me. He took 3 days and stretched in six, so I could have the benefit on more days.
Yeah, and that is, I think, it is very hard for most people to do something every day, and the consistency that creates that habit. My coach told me also, yeah, you can build an online business working 1 hour a day, but you have to do it every day. And I see like a lot of people, I struggle with that too, and I have now consistency in my workouts. I go at least 6 days a week, and because I've built that habit, and sometimes it only takes me 2 or 3 weeks, and it's not this 21 days you build a habit, but this breaking it down, as you just said, breaking down 3 or 4 times working out into 7 days is a super good system that worked for me too, to create a habit and not think about it anymore. One question I have is, so when you was that did you build that habit consciously because you wanted that, or did you just do it? You say, hey, that just works better for me.
You mean 1 page a day, or you mean about workout?
Both.
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 Yeah, it's very funny because when it comes to books, and I have the privilege to teach people how to write them, the question that pops up the most is, how do I not quit? Because I think it's easy to have an idea for a book. We can come up with 10 ideas here in 1 minute, right? But then, yeah, you wrote something. I'm curious to know what you just wrote, but let me follow with my explanation. And then I always say, uh, I wrote my first book during sleepless nights, and it was hell. And when I released it, I was like, that's it, no more. That's going to be the one and only book. But then it was a success, and then people started asking for more. And why am I telling you this? And why? What does this have to do with the quitting question that my clients make? It's not about you, you know. It's not about you, motherfucker. It's about the people that you want to serve. So, if I have a message inside me, and people are asking for it, I have to do what it takes to deliver this. So, I had no option but to find a path to deliver the second book, and I started looking for it, and I found the TED Talk that completely changed my life. So if you're struggling about a goal, it could be a book, but it could be anything. If you think about the people that will benefit from you achieving that goal, and if you can think about a real person with a name and a face, and if you can close your eyes and think about that person, it's not about you anymore. It's about he or she. And if it's about he or she, you don't have the right to quit. So that's what makes it easier for me. If I have to write because I have I have something inside me that was given by a higher force, and it's my duty to put it forward, to put it in the world. And I have to work out because I have to work on my mental states, because I have to provide for my family, and I need to be strong for them. So in the end, if you have someone that you can think of, you can close your eyes and see their eyes and their smile, that you know that will benefit if you achieve your goals. It's about them, and if it's about them, you just can't quit.
Wow, that's yes. I've wrote down a couple of things which I'm
Yeah.
going to share here, folks. This is the gold, the nugget part. This is probably the best, the most important part of the podcast, because what the question that came into my mind: why is it? It's easy to set goals, but why is it that so many people, all sign up in January for the gym, and then in February the gym is empty again? Why do people? And the magic word here is quit. Why do so many people quit on their goals? And you just provided a framework for that and a solution. So there's a saying that also says, you're not your goals don't make you different, but your actions do. So, and let me, how do I put that into how do I split that out? um I think quitting happens when you set a goal and you don't have a plan and you don't know how to do it, or the goal is just not important to you. So, like, people go to the gym, they have a health goal, but probably they realize, man, it's such a hard work. It's such a hard work behind, it's not worth the effort. So, and now thinking about, okay, and I'm going to get to another point that we actually discussed on the way to the podcast here. Um, when you say it's not about you, it's about them. That I find that really helpful. If I, you know, were to ask advice, I find that really helpful just to get out of my head, get out of my. It's not about me, um, because or sometimes it is about me, but realizing there's someone else behind me that I need to support. There's someone that probably needs my contribution, like a charity. There's someone out there that needs to hear my message. It's such a good thing to have, and not to quit. It's like you can't quit because people depend on you in a way. And the other thing that I've noted from your answer, which is also very very helpful, to make the make the action steps consistent and daily, but make them small. That's also probably something where it's hard to quit. So say, can you do that every day for 5 minutes? You say, sure, I can. And then this Kaizen concept, right? The 5 minutes become 10 minutes and then
Yep.
15 minutes. But the consistency is really where it's hard to build, but consistency beats talent. Consistency beats uh, overfunding money and all that stuff in any way. In any
Agree.
way.
I have some sentences that help me remember that always. So I'm going to share those sentences with you. If you want to write them down, feel free to. So anything is better than nothing, right? No hurry, no pause, and one is more than zero. The amount of people that, let's use workout as an example because it's very tangible, right? Everyone struggles with that. I'm not going to work out because it's raining and my personal trainer doesn't have a schedule to fit me in, and the gym is closed. Go to the floor. 100 push-ups, 50 push-ups,
Like we did
10
yesterday.
like we did yesterday. 10 push-ups. Oh, 10 push-ups is too little. It's better than nothing. One push-up is better than nothing. So I think this dichotomy in between, I either work out 2 hours with a personal trainer and gloves and whey protein, or I don't. It's what's keeping you from doing not only the workout in the gym, but also book or a trip or even a family.
Yes, and it's easy to make excuses.
Yep.
Is that not from the movie Platoon? Where he said, excuses are like assholes, everybody got one.
Yeah.
It's easy to make excuses. And I remember my very first coach, he said, look, it's reasons or results. You have the reason why you didn't do it, or you get the result. And that's, it's easy to find an excuse like it's raining, oh, it's too hard, oh, no, why now? Or to say, well, I can still do it tomorrow. And then that tomorrow becomes the day after tomorrow. Then, oh, yeah, maybe I just do half of it, which is also fine as long as you keep doing it consistently. As you said, anything is better than nothing. One other thing that popped up into my head was when he said, make it about them, not about you,
Yep.
which is great also in marketing. Nobody is a damn. What was that? Nobody wants to read your shit. What was
Yeah.
that book from?
Stephen Preston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So nobody cares about what you think. Nobody cares about our opinion. But the market is the market,
Yep.
and what they want is what we have to provide. Remember, on the way here we talked about purpose.
Yep.
But also is the book called Living on Purpose, and has many. I recommend grab a copy of that because it has on purpose very well explained, very well written in terms of how to what I
you.
think is very very hard for people, how to find or develop your purpose.
Thank you.
And in various categories. I struggled with that so many years, and nobody could explain to me. I said, "What is purpose?" It's like, "What's your?" And they say, "Okay, purpose is like something you absolutely have to do. Purpose is like your why." So, guys, grab a book, grab a copy of that book. It's really recommendable. It takes probably 3-4 hours to read, and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And I think what we talked about in the car was about 3 stages of purpose, right?
Yeah.
So one was the personal one.
Yep.
And then, can you help me out and
Yes. Yeah.
remind me on that?
I can't remember exactly who taught me that, but it's an amazing concept. So, 3 stages of purpose. The first one is about yourself. So I want to put up weight. I want to lose weight. I want to make money. I want to do this, do that. About you, and it's okay because you have to grow, so you can have something to give. That's the first layer of purpose. The second layer would be doing a direct contribution to someone else. So I am going to the gym and I'm going to help Florian to lift 120 kilos on the chest press. So that's directly from me to Florian, right? The first one is about me. I want to put up 120 on chest press. The second one, I want to help Florian do that. So directly me to Florian. The third one is for the world. So I'm going to put up on the internet a full online course to help people to powerlift. So that's for everyone. And again, the first one for me, The second layer for someone in front of me directly that I see the contribution, and the third one it's for everyone, and you don't even see it, but you know that you're targeting more people and scaling what you have to offer to the world.
That's a great framework. That's a good thing. I think that probably would I would love that. I love that framework. Takes a bit more, a bit more like a thoughtful hour
Yep.
to go through that. Kind of like personal purpose. I think is easy for people. I want something for me, which is totally fine, and that's also totally necessary. In like, what do you say? Put the mask on
Yeah. Put
yourself
the mask
first,
first.
first before you help other people. So if you cannot lead yourself, if you have a I don't know like a flappy body, if you have crappy habits, you are not fit to help other people. So the self purpose, the personal purpose, is the first step, and it could be even a material thing that doesn't really matter, but something where you say, great, now I'm in a good position to help other people, and I'm stable, and I'm good. I feel good about what I've
Yes.
achieved for myself,
If I have a
and then
house that's a home, I will sleep better and have more energy to deliver my contribution with more energy. That's it.
yeah. So also to point out that there's nothing wrong with personal belongings. There's nothing wrong with material goals. It's totally fine. I think as you do that, as you grow, or what I've learned from my experience, that these personal things they will become less important. Because you go from one stage, from the personal one, say, great, now I have the house, now I have my bench, I have my studio, and I go to, okay, who am I helping? So I think it's nice to then yes, and it could be that one person. Remember yesterday with Mateos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and it wasn't actually our purpose. We came from a simple let's do a birthday celebration,
Yep.
but then how the whole thing developed was, can we help this? If we can help this in one evening, this one young kid, to get a different perspective on life. Yeah, but we didn't impose it on him. Say, hey, look,
Of course.
let me tell you how life works. No, it was just coming from one day to the other, and then um, just by talking about assets and liabilities, yeah, which way it does it put money in your pocket or not? And he lighted up and thought, wow, I didn't know all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you could see his face, learning. And I think the shift from the layer 2 to 3 is that. So yeah, we went out yesterday with Mateus, and he learned a lot. Now we have to think about how to deliver this to more people, right? I think let's take coaching for instance, like you're doing beautifully. You took care of yourself. You have a business, and now you can teach this, right? So the personal purpose is kind of in progress, but kind of done because you manage a successful business, and now you want to give back and you want to do coaching. Then you're going to start doing one-on-one coaching, and then you do one-on-one coaching, and you see that your clients are amazed by what you do, and then you're in the second layer, but then you have to think about the third layer because okay, I'm giving one-on-one coaching, it's live, I have only 24 hours in my day. I have to sleep, I have to work out, I have to eat. So I can't put in more people in my schedule. And now I have to think about something to scale that knowledge. So I have to make this available for more people, maybe cheaper. And then you go from 2 to 3.
Yeah, and for many years I had this conflict that people were asking me for coaching, and my business was not successful. So I felt, and probably what's the word for the imposter syndrome,
Yep.
that a lot of people struggle with when they go on a program and they think, okay, now I can create this great course here, I can create this product, but who am I to tell something or to teach someone else? And the best way to do that is to have yourself results, right? When you do through your competition, you do your powerlifting, you say, I know how this works, I've done it so many times. Here's the result for myself. It is not only easier for you not to feel like an imposter, but also more credible because you have that weight behind you. And I had that for many years. I didn't have that, and I thought, okay, I'm not gonna do something and help other people unless I figure that out, unless I can show a result. So that is, and coming back to your plan and your consistency, that is easiest to do when you keep going every day, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 push-ups, like Dimitri. When
Yeah.
he wrote me a message this morning, say, hey, I need to do 24 right now or something. So that also changing one life at a time, right?
Amazing.
Mhm.
And to sum it up, as we're doing with all the concepts here, personal purpose, take care of yourself so you have something to give. Once you have something to give it to one person. And if it works, try to scale it to even more people so you go to the level 3, the layer 3 of purpose. My friend, I feel like we could do this forever, and I feel like this is the first of many. But I would like to ask you, I mean, final thoughts, parting words, if you have any challenges, tips, final year messages. You can even sing if you want to. The show is yours. To the audience, what do you want to deliver on our last minutes here?
Yeah, I could do this forever. I could sit here and keep talking. But now we have to also let the audience go and let the people go and work on their goals.
Yep.
Because remember, guys, there's only one day left. No, so no pressure on that. I need to think about that.
And while you think, just let me tell you guys one thing. We were coming here to the podcast on a Uber, and a person that works on the same office as we do recently mentioned, "Oh, thank God, it's only half an hour, so I can go home." And we felt a little bad about it because that's not how we feel. We love what we do, and I know it's a privilege that not everyone has. But what we're feeling here is the opposite, right? I mean, we are talking here. Time flew by. We haven't noticed, and we could be here for like hours. So that's a good sign that you're following your purpose. If you're doing something that you don't see time pass by and that you could do forever, that's amazing. But if you're counting the days, you're counting the hours for something to end, not a good sign.
I just realized that the time flew by, and
Yeah.
that also I said while doing the podcast, I set a new goal for myself, which is related to podcast.
Oh wow. You have to
And
share.
so that's what I want to leave you guys with is one is when you plan your goals, when you think about next year, don't do it with anxiety, don't do it with nervousness. Put some fun, some zest into the whole thing. It feel like, it should feel exciting
Yeah.
and make it fun. Goal setting is an art. It's not a science where you take a spreadsheet and type everything up meticulously. It's an art. Go surfing, go to the beach if you have one. Go. Sorry about the folks in London. go, go cycling, some activity. What do you call it? Like the dragon thing.
Yeah.
Something fun, like car racing, to get out of your head, and then look at really what would excite me. Put some. It should feel like full, and say what excites me for my life, and you can pretty much do and have anything. There's no limitation on what you can't do. It should feel good. Should feel good about it. It's like great. So that's the first thing I would start with to recommend. It should not feel like, oh man, this goal here. Oh man, maybe not this. And okay, I'll try. It should feel powerful.
If you're asking yourself, is there such thing? There is. We're feeling it right now, and you deserve it as well.
Mm. Yes, thank you for reminding me. The other thing behind it is, after that, feeling powerful. Think about, hey, who could I help as well? Who like um who else would it serve if I achieved that goal? And for you, it's your girlfriend,
Yeah, of course.
Gabi.
Yeah.
Also for her career, it would be good. So there's a huge ripple effect by you
Yeah.
just going to London.
Yep.
That's the second part I would say. Make it nice, make it feel good, and think who else would I serve? And that's what I'm thinking here now. How can we make that? How can we bring that out? How can we bring that to more people? And so I'm changing my goals as we speak.
Yeah, that's amazing. And coming here, I was. This is the first time that Florence is in this beautiful studio. I've been here multiple times, which is a pleasure and an honor. And I told him, man, when you arrive there, you're going to feel the energy, and you're going to see it's kind of a sacred place for me. Hopefully, it is for you as well, and I can see that you felt it. So, thank you, everyone here on So Pode. Whoever comes to Rio want to record a podcast, you know where to go. You can reach us. We can make the contacts with the owners here. Amazing people. That's it, my friend. So, Final message, final thoughts, final challenge, final song. What do you got?
Final message. I need to cut that part out. That's so fine. Final message.
Could be a challenge, could be a sentence, could be a quote, could be a joke, could be a song.
I would say, don't worry about yes. One thing I had to think about a little bit. Inside, outside. I would say a lot of there's a lot of noise in the media, and I'm not saying noise that is not important, but there's a lot of course, bad news always sells better. There's a lot of noise and talk about recession, about inflation, bad economics. So, but focus on your economy. Focus on what you can do. No government, no president, no what outside factor will have an will change your life. Only you can do that. So focus on what you can do. Make 2023 about action and not focus so much. There's always people who thrive in certain bad times or who don't thrive in good times, but it's you to do that. So don't worry so much about what's going on in the economy. Focus on what you want to build. Focus on what you want to create. Focus on the people around you, your relationship, who you can help, and it will be fine. It will go the right way. That's my final thought. Just focus on you, and if everybody focuses on them, and that people say, oh, somebody should do something about that. So why not you? Why not you the one doing something about something that is important to you? That's my final message for
I
today.
can't think in a better way to wrap this up. And although we are recording this with 1 day left in 2022, I'm not sure when are you watching this. Maybe 2050 in Mars, if our friend Elon Musk succeeds. So I won't tell you to have a happy new year. I'll tell you to have a happy tomorrow, a happy now, a happy life. Thank you, Florian, for this. First of many, no doubt. Thank you guys from the studio, and we'll be seeing each other soon. Thanks.
Yes, thanks also to SEO Podcast. Thanks for having us here. Feel really the atmosphere is awesome. It feels like a massage. I could sit here I could sit here all day, and you can't see that there's no noise. The sound is so clear.
Yeah, it's
I've never experienced that before. It's
Yeah.
not like going on an Instagram post talking on a
Yeah,
microphone
yeah,
while
yeah,
running.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The sound is so clear, and I hope that clearness, that clarity translates over to you, and yeah, you can get some of that energy that's flowing around here. Thank you so much for having me, guys. Was really good fun, and happy tomorrow.
Thank you. Happy tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Hey.
Man, fuck, man.
Like it's like Disney World, right?